find anything in it that I'm doing wrong though, Arn. Yeah, when it goes to a black screen, that means it crashed. And there's a couple of reasons why it might have crashed. It may be that the pixel position and subpixel position, or even the screen of any of the eggs that I fired could be wrong. You need to have the subpixels right as well. And in Yoshi's Island, there's a lot of subpixels. But fortunately, because you can have Yoshi stand in just in a position and fire the eggs with a specific aim, just one frame egg shot, as long as it's lined up right, it will give you the same result every time. That was one of the really difficult things for this, was coming up with a setup where all those things I just said were true. Oops. I guess I could have just made an egg down here, whatever. Yeah, Arn, how did I get this second try? I think it's one of those things where, like, when you don't think too hard, when you just learn something, you can be, like, really good, but then when you're off by, like, even a little bit, since you haven't done it enough, you can't tell what's off. Alright. Ah, that's one too far forward. There we go. Hat strats. I'm worried that maybe the aim is wrong. Let me try that. I don't think so, though. There we go. That's right. Yeah, that's right. So what I can do is, if I can't get this to work on console, I can do it on emulator. And if I do it on emulator, I can just watch and see what I'm doing wrong. And then I can come back to console afterwards. It's a pretty good way to practice to make sure I'm doing everything right. Or... oops, get out of my way, eggs. There we go. Okay, this is the one I wasn't sure about, but I'm pretty dang sure that this one's actually right. Yeah, that's right. Okay. It's also possible that... okay, thanks, Arn. It's also possible that I'm doing the, I'm actually doing this setup right, and messing up for other reasons at the end of the level or in the second level. Those are some of the parts that we understand the least, I feel like. Though in practice I have pretty good success with them. Oh, hey Nathan! Okay, don't get me. Don't hit me, bro. Don't hit me, bro. I feel pretty good about this one. Yeah, we got it! Oh we got it! Yeah! Oh yeah! There we go. Here we go. Spam them pog champs. Wait for it. This is so cool because not only does this... Thanks, oh my god, that was harder than I thought it was gonna be. Dad runs live. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, so the thing that I love about this is not only did ArneTheGreat, who really deserves all the credit for this, by the way, so everybody let's give a big, I don't know, emotive choice to ArneTheGreat. By the way, of course, the JO leaves the second that I get it. So yeah, not only do we have Super Mario World credits warp, but now we have Yoshi's Island credits warp as well. This run was made possible almost entirely by ArneTheGreat. So now I'll do it again, and I'll actually explain everything that's going on during it, at least for the setup. Again, one of the cool things that I think about this is not only does it play just the credits, but it actually plays the entire ending cutscene. There are a bunch of different values that you can warp to, and it turned out that it was possible to do one that would play the entire ending cutscene. And it's not glitched or anything in any way, it plays it perfectly. You get the full credits, the full ending. Yeah, Mr. Cheese, what's next is, since this is ACE stands for Arbitrary Code Execution, you can, rather than running the code for the credits, you could actually run anything else. So next time, let's program Super Mario World in Yoshi's Island, and then credits warp in Super Mario World. So yeah, any percent for Yoshi's Island is officially fucked. We're slowly becoming Super Mario World, we just need to create 20 categories. So I don't know what category you guys want to make this, but you could just do what Super Mario World did and just call it Credits Warp and just make it its own silly thing. Yeah, Fly, you can warp to a couple different places in the credits, but most of them just play the beginning. I wonder if it's also possible to warp to the very end here. It may not be because it's not actually a different thing, it's all kind of together. So if I can, I'm going to set up my stream to capture my emulator, and then I can kind of walk through and explain everything. Okay, so for the Yoshi people in here, here's something crazy about this. Using this, now that Arn figured out how the tongue glitch actually crashes the game, and also Raiden too, I think, you could make any tongue glitch anywhere, presumably not crash the game. So you could maybe use this in other places to do a tongue glitch and then beat the level. Okay, I'm just setting this up real quick to work with my emulator, and I'll do a full explanation of what the heck's going on here. And maybe Arn and Raiden can fill in the gaps if I have any. Okay, I'm just gonna put that there. Okay. Alright, so what the hell is going on in this speed run? Let me go to the beginning here. Okay, I'm just going to fast forward and do this to get a little bit into the run here. Awesome code execution. So the core of this speedrun revolves around the tongue glitch, the thing that happens at the end that can crash the game. And so the reason that you're able to do all this crazy stuff with it is, well, the tongue glitch is actually pretty awesome. Maybe I should show, I want to just like show a little thing on what the tongue glitch is actually doing. Let me start there because that's actually super cool. Okay, so I'll show you guys like one frame at a time what is actually going on with the tongue glitch. It's one of my favorite glitches from any game. It's just like absolutely insane what is going on. Okay, so we turn this thing off so you guys don't have all this crap on your screen. Okay. Oops, there we go. Emulator timing. Okay, so I just did the tongue glitch. If you notice, here's Yoshi, and he stuck his tongue out, and then I got hit, and here's the tongue right now. The tongue is all the way right over here. So the tongue literally like leaves Yoshi's body, and you look at how big this is. This is way bigger than Yoshi's tongue can ever get normally. So what's actually, and you can kind of see if you frame advance, it just like the tongue just goes bye-bye, see you later, off the end of the screen there. So to break this down just a little bit more from a earlier spot, let me just fast forward real quick. Sorry, this is probably going to blow up the stream from fast forwarding this, but one second. Okay, so the tongue glitch is key to why this actually works and happens. Okay, so here's how the tongue glitch gets initiated. When you're going through this save ring here, when you hit a save ring, so if you kind of look, this shy guy right here, a little bit after hitting the save ring, he's going to turn into a star. Boom. See, he turns into a star. So what the save rings do is they make all enemies on screen turn into a star. The weird thing is when you have an enemy in Yoshi's mouth and you try to spit it out, so see right here, Yoshi's going to try to spit the enemy that he has in his mouth, the game's still going to try to turn into a star. So it tries to turn something that is still in Yoshi's mouth into a star. And the result of that is you get this weird, like, he spits out the enemy, but the enemy despawns. Like, see, you can see he even collects the star here. You got this +1. So what it did is it destroyed the sprite in Yoshi's mouth, but he's still got it in his mouth. So this is very much unintended, and the game doesn't know what to do because it still thinks there's something in his mouth, but there's no actual sprite assigned to that thing in his mouth. So he just has like a null sprite in his mouth. He just has these fat cheeks. And the fat cheeks are pretty cool. You can't actually, just to kind of show you guys with this, you can't actually do anything. Like, see, you can't spit it out anymore, and the tongue doesn't even do anything. It just like goes through enemies. So that's the first part of this glitch, is you get this like fat cheek mode where you completely mess up Yoshi's tongue because the game still thinks he has something in his mouth, but he really doesn't, and it doesn't know what to do with that. So from there, here's where things get weird though. Where things get weird is when Yoshi gets hit. Let me just kind of go forward for a second here. Okay, the weird thing is when Yoshi gets hit while in this like weird glitch tongue mode. That should be good. So I just got hit. Kind of watch it slower. So I got hit while Yoshi's tongue is stuck out here, and what happens then is apparently the normal flag that tries to check whether or not Yoshi's tongue, here, watch, if you check it out, Yoshi gets hit and kind of goes back and forth, and then, let me see if I can find the first frame of this. It looks pretty crazy. Okay, so yeah, Yoshi's tongue normally will retract back to Yoshi. But because his mouth is full, and clearly when your mouth is full you can't be tonguing anything, the game apparently doesn't even check to see whether the tongue is back, so it just keeps on retracting it forever. So here's the tongue right now going through the pipe backwards, and if you kind of look at it every frame, see the tongue just got bigger. And then we go another frame. The tongue just got even bigger, and it's moving left and getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it keeps doing this. And even though you can't see it anymore, it continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger, literally infinitely. So the tongue, the reason that all of the sprites disappear right here is boom, like all the sprites are gone right there. The tongue ate all of the memory associated with sprites. Now every single sprite is filled with tongue. And there's this really cool, there's actually this really cool thing that Arn made that kind of shows you, Arn, if you're around, can you link the one that shows all the values getting eaten up by the tongue glitch? And so you can actually, like, using a emulator, you can watch all of the memory in the game becoming tongue. It is just tongues all the way down. And so this starts overwriting values in the game that are just, it just starts overwriting them with the memory for the tongue. And so that, as you might imagine, is going to crash the game. So eventually it goes through a bunch of stuff, like right here, it doesn't crash the game, it's okay. But eventually it does end up overwriting something that's important for the game to function. And so right here the game has crashed. It does all this crazy shit, the screen flips out because everything has been overwritten by tongue memory, and then eventually the game crashes. Well, one of the big discoveries that ArneTheGreat made is one of the things that's causing the game to crash is when it overwrites the value that is set for the state of a sprite, the state that the sprites are in. So sprites have like a position, a location, you know, and they also have a sprite. And the sprites are things like whether they're riding Yoshi, whether or not they're currently dying, things like that. And it puts a memory value in for Baby Mario's sprite state that is not programmed, and it causes the game to crash. So the cool thing is that you can actually influence what memory is written into that sprite state. And this is the big discovery, is you can actually have it write something into that sprite state that does not crash. And that is why I'm hugged up against the pipe right here. The position that you initiate the tongue glitch from is what is going to change which memory value is written over the sprite state. And if you have one that does not crash, then it will continue writing over other things. But also, when the game tries to check the sprite state, it won't get something that's like the game every single frame is looking through all the sprites and is like, okay, what state are they in? And it gets to the sprite state and it's just like, fuck that, that is not a sprite state. And it tries to do, it has it do something that is just going to crash the game. But Arn figured out an ingenious way to make it, instead of doing that, the next thing it will do is read the value of the sprite state and then start reading values from the sprite positions. And this is where things get crazy, because the game hasn't crashed, and now the game is trying to read the locations for the sprite positions in a way that it's completely not supposed to, so that it takes the memory value for where the sprite is and it tries to treat it as a code to execute some sort, to figure out what to do next. And you can edit the position of the sprites. So for anybody just showing up who wonders, so you just glitch your kid says, so what does the glitch do? So I just did it on console, but I'll show you again really quickly on here just so you can see what's going on. So here's what we just did on console. Sprite runs away, starts eating up all the memory, eventually it reaches the sprite states, and in this particular position with this particular setup, when it reaches the sprite states, it starts executing the code for the credits, and you get a credits warp. So yeah, I just did it in 4 minutes and 45 seconds. It can probably be done in 2 minutes, though, with a really fast setup. So again, that's what we just saw. And so that is why we spend all this time in 1.1 doing all this seemingly random shit. It's going through so here's all the sprites on my screen here. You can see these different sprite slots. Yoshi's Island has 24 sprite slots, and so it's going to go backwards through the sprite slots and read their position, subpixel position, and what screen they're on, and execute code based on the memory value stored in those. So everything that we're doing at the beginning of this run is setting up the memory values of the sprites, and they have to be in a specific order. Like you have a certain memory value, it needs to be paired with a specific sprite. So that's what all these crazy egg charts are. Is here starting, let me see if I have a save state from the beginning here. I should have one. Yeah, okay, so here's a save state from the beginning. So every time you go into a new room, it resets the sprite order, and everything that was despawned will respawn when you come back. So that's why I go down there and I get all my eggs and I set them all up. I use a red egg here. So this is most of the run from the beginning. So I use a red egg here to spawn 2 sprites, and that's to spawn here. I can actually show my sprite viewer so you can kind of see what's going on a little bit. Okay, so this is going to display the number on all the sprites. So like this Shy Guy is in sprite slot 10, this one's in 12, 11, all that. So I'm shooting the piranha in order to spawn 2 sprites. And that makes it so that this Shy Guy right here spawns in sprite slot 17. And the way that the code works right now is we start at sprite slot 18, and then we go 18, 17, 16, and 15, and that's the code for the credits. A neat thing about this is you could actually add even more code to it. This is way more powerful than the Super Mario World credits warp, because there's a lot more freedom with what you can influence in this. And because we're in the sprite table, I mean, heck, there's all these sprites. We could mess with this. There are complications, of course, but I think this could be even more powerful than the Super Mario World run. So I kind of look up and do all that, all to get this other Shy Guy in sprite slot 18. So now I have 17 and 18. And then I'm going to set up the position of those sprites in 17 and 18. So I have to have only sprites 17 and 18, which are now eggs. They turn into eggs when you eat the enemy. Those eggs have to be in the right order, and of course I can't see what order they're in while I'm doing the runs, so you need to be really conscious of what order all of your eggs are in. But as long as you do the same pattern every time, it'll work. So then, in order to set the position and subpixel position of those sprites, we found out that you can throw eggs to do it. And the nice thing about throwing eggs is the cursor, you can actually lock on and get the exact same egg shot every time. So we just kind of line it up with pixels in the background to make sure that Yoshi's standing in the same spot and everything. So like the weird pattern in here is all just getting sprites to spawn in the right order. I got that Shy Guy to spawn in sprite 16 and another one in sprite 15. So I'm throwing my eggs until I get to sprite 15 and 16, which are the last 2 codes to set up. And then it's just a matter of throwing them at the right spot. The crazy thing about this run is we went through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different egg shots, different positions for Yoshi to stand in. We actually have this giant list of them. And so you can't be on every screen to fire an egg. You can't be in every possible position to fire an egg. You can't have every possible subpixel to fire an egg. So you have to kind of work with what you've got. And the brilliant thing that Arn did was he took what we had and made it work into an actual set of instructions that would call the credits. And this is using SNES assembly language. So you can read a lot about that with some of the documentation that Arn linked. If possible, Arn, do you think you could link that document again? So once those sprite values are set, then you can just beat the level normally. They actually get saved as long as you never... The nice thing about having them in high sprite slots, like 18, 17, 16, is when stuff spawns, normally it spawns into like 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you don't have much of a risk of overwriting them unless you spawn a lot of sprites. Because as long as you don't spawn anything else into those sprites, when you fire the eggs, then they're locked in. You will not change the value of them. Even if you die or game over, it does not change the value. The only way to change them is to spawn another sprite in those slots. So you do have to be careful never to spawn anything else in those slots. Before the game actually gets to the sprite table, it does go through a few other values, but fortunately none of them are horrible or crash the game. But one of those is the position of Yoshi as he goes through the goal ring. So I always stop right before the goal ring to try to have Yoshi have a consistent position as he goes through it. And that's something that can use a little bit more work, but fortunately it seems to almost always give a correct position. And if you have a good setup for it, then I'm confident that it always would. Okay, so in 1.2, now it's mostly just getting to the tongue glitch area in order to execute the code that you've already set up in the sprite table. There was one problem we had with this level where some value was getting messed up, but I think we mostly figured it out. So I'm just trying not to spawn anything. See, I've got 13 sprites spawned, but everything in 15 and on is still untouched. So most of this is just performing the tongue glitch, where you spit out the enemy right as Yoshi's going through the save ring here, and it messes with Yoshi's tongue. You see, like, he spit out the thing, but he still has full cheeks. So we've started the tongue glitch here. And, in this version, I actually this is when I was testing to see whether you could kill yourself. So I actually killed myself in this version just to kind of test it. But a cool thing is it kind of makes this a lot more marathon safe if you can do something like kill yourself and retry it and have it still work. So it's actually really cool that that works. So right here I'm setting up the screen in a certain position because the screen that Baby Mario is in is necessary for the game not to crash, and also just that Yoshi's position for what values the tongue glitch actually is going to start overwriting with. And again, if it's the wrong ones, then the game will crash rather than letting you go to the sprite table. So that's mostly it. After that, you just do the tongue glitch. And if you do the tongue glitch right and you don't get... See that Shy Guy just like came in and hit me, but actually it usually doesn't matter even if he hits me. It usually still works, which is really cool.